welcome back to Tavern Take 5. I am Gayla, aka the Awkward Introverted Therapist, and today I am going to do something a bit different. So we're not going to do the 5 minutes. This is going to be a bit longer because I have somebody with me, special guest. We're doing this on the last day of October, that last day of breast cancer awareness. So why not have one of the fighters, one of the champions in this fight, my bestie from elementary school. So yes, go way, way, way back. This is Tammy Lewis. She is the founder of Pink Pearl Hero. She works to get people on, women on the right side of wealth. And she's just an all-around awesome person. So
Thank you, boo.
Tammy, thank you for being here with me.
I'm glad, well, number one, anything for you, because like Gayla said, we go way back to like fourth grade when I first moved to St. Louis. So
Yes, indeed.
we got stories, but we're not going to talk about the stories today.
No. Those stay to the
Not
side.
that part, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, anytime, anything that you ever need, I am there. I am there. And you definitely have been one of my biggest supporters, during the journey, going through this. So through growing through this. How about them apples?
Absolutely. Yes. I love that. Love that.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. What, of course, because this is around health and wellness, what I wanted to specifically talk about is your mental health through this journey. But first, starting with what you would grade or rate your mental health and wellness at prior to this diagnosis. Like, what did that look like?
I think at that, so here's what happened, which I know was intentional or part of the journey, is on my bucket list. I had a bucket list of things I wanted to do before I was 50. So when I got diagnosed, I was 44. Yeah, I was 44 when I was diagnosed. And part of that bucket list is I wanted to run a 5K. I just wanted to start running. I mean, I don't know who does that in their 40s, but I did. Not knowing that that would be my therapy through my breast cancer journey.
Mm-hmm.
So a girlfriend of mine had an extra race ticket for the Peachtree. I started training, mindset wise outside a lot because I had to be outside almost every day to start training for that. And 30 days before the race, I was telling another girlfriend of mine who is an avid runner that I was doing the Peachtree and I'm doing my first 5K. And she goes, no, honey, that's a 10K. I'm like, no way. I said, no, it's a 5K. She said, I'm pretty sure I ran it last year. It is a 10K. And I was like, there's no way I would run my first race as a 10K.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just took a step back and I said, but it's only three more miles. So just figure out the 3 more miles.
Right.
And so not knowing, and I actually did it in pretty good time, considering that I stopped, used the bathroom and like a couple other things that most runners don't do. They were like, you did all that? I'm like, yeah. So I still did, pretty good time. And I was in the D bracket. So, A are the best runners.
Mm-hmm.
And they had no race time on me. So again, I think that was also intentional because it made me keep pace with it. So I was anywhere from D, E, F, G. So that's kind of the runners that were around me. So I did pretty good that first one. But as I was going through or growing through this process, still with a lot of the unknown, like the surgery's unknown, what treatment was going to be, that was my therapy. So I continued after the Peachtree. I continued because I got diagnosed 30 days after I finished the 10K.
Oh, wow.
So when I was training for it, I had no idea I had breast cancer at that point. But that was the therapy. So being outside, being with nature, being in a clear space with my thoughts. I had some of my best ideas when I was out running. But again, that was by divine design. That was supposed to happen just like that. Because the other thing as I was going through treatments and surgeries, that was
Mhm.
always my litmus test with my physicians. I'm like, when can I get back on the trail?
Oh,
And
wow.
they would always ask me, can you give us one more week, please? Can your body just heal for another? But I knew that if I didn't get back on the trail, that meant that I wasn't progressing. So that was always my
Mm,
litmus test of where I was mentally and physically.
okay.
Yeah. So to answer that question, I was still in pretty good mental health because I was training. I was
Mhm.
training, so my mind was focused on winning the race and and completing the peace tree. So mindset wise, I was in a good place. And I again, now that I think about it, again, I think that was part of the divine design in that. Because when I got diagnosed, though, I did have I call it my 5 minute pity party,
Mm,
where I was like, Lord, why me? I did everything right. Like,
absolutely.
I went to school, um, then I got married, then I had the kids, then I did, so, but then I had to
Mhm.
realize I did everything right by man, in man's eyes,
Mm,
right? And I'm like,
mhm.
then I had to flip the script really fast. And I said, well, why not me? Something big is going to happen. And so my
Mhm.
mindset shifted. I'm like, something big is going to happen. I'm going to have to grow through this for some reason, and game on, let's go. So it was that mindset shift. I didn't want it to be I didn't want my process to be, oh, woe is me. I have, the big C, which I mean, I
Mhm.
was still very what do you want to call it? Cautious, and I
Mhm.
was being very real about the situation, but
Mhm.
I knew I had to protect this space, and that took care of everything else. I didn't even want negative people around me. I was like, nope, don't want no negative people around me.
Definitely. Yeah, because, they say laughter is the best medicine, those type of things. So that goes around that positive energy. So yeah, when you're talking about being in the battle of your life, you definitely want the energy that's going to boost you and give you that's basically that superhuman strength to
Right.
to fight and conquer and win.
Yep. Yep, for sure. Yeah, it was I call myself a little different. I'm a different being. And I think a lot of that has been because just a different mindset overall. Hold on one second. All right, so where was it? Oh yeah, so the whole like process mindset wise, I was a lot different. So like when I found out what type of surgery I had to have,
Mhm.
so the recommendation was I had a left breast mastectomy, and I decided to do both. I'm like, why are we messing around with this thing? We're gonna go guns a blazing, and we're gonna do this one time and be aggressive. And the good thing that I did do that, because when they did the surgery, they found another spot, and so that's where the
Oh.
radiation came in.
Mhm.
But when I found out about the surgery, so I had what's called a latissimus dorsi with reconstruction. So they took the lat muscles, moved them to the front, and then put the implant in. So kind of like that.
Okay.
So me, of course, I get on YouTube University and I start looking up the surgery so
Mhm.
I can see how the surgery was going to be. And immediately I was like, and this is just me again, this is not a recommendation, so I'm gonna make that disclosure. I'm just different. I was like, well, shoot, if they're gonna put my lat muscles and use them as now my, breast, I'm gonna
Mhm.
make sure they had the best lat muscles possible. So
Okay.
so I also knew that my upper body strength would change because now
Mhm.
you're moving something. So I called one of my fraternity brothers, who's an athletic trainer, and in like one sentence, I told him, "Hey, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm having this surgery. I need your help," like in one breath.
Mhm.
And his response was, "Go back to the first thing that you said."
Mhm. Mhm.
And that made me realize that even though mentally I was in a good place, that as I was telling people, I had to still be more, I guess, open to their feelings and to let them process, because I had already processed. I was on go
Right.
mode. So
Right.
when I was telling people, I had to take a step back and let them kind of go through their emotion and not just kind of
Mm-hmm.
say, "Hey, you know what? I got
Mm-hmm.
breast cancer now. I just wanted to tell you." Da, da, da."
Right.
Not as a matter of fact, like, "Hey, let's go to the store," you know. So that conversation let me know, okay, Tammy, you're telling people something really big. I know you've
Mm-hmm.
already processed it, and you got to give them room to process. Because again, there were some folks that I did not want to find out on social media, because I
Right.
was going to be very public with it, with the nonprofit. So again, just my mindset on that, and it was almost like Groundhog's Day. So just imagine you got your list of people who you got to talk to before this comes out on social media. And so
Mm.
every time I had to tell somebody, it was like Groundhog's Day all over and over and over and over.
Wow. So how did you handle that? So giving, like you said, you processed it, but you opened yourself up to other people's emotions.
Hmm.
Because I know, like, when I heard it, it was like, and I had to collect myself because of losing people to it. And it was like, no, I'm not going to lose another person. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I I think depending on who I was, talking to, if they were crying, I mean, I still got emotional. I didn't want people to think
Mhm.
I was unemotional
Right.
about it. So I still let that emotion happen. But just letting folks know mindset wise that I was okay. I think that was probably the most comfort I can give them, that look, we,
Mhm.
we gonna be aggressive with this thing, and I ain't laying down. And but yeah, but going through that mentally over and over and over, like literally by the time I had seen my list of folks again, who I
Mhm.
I didn't want to find out on social media,
Right.
when I had that planned a couple days even before that happened. I think it was like a week or a couple days before that event was going to happen. I almost scrapped the whole thing. It was like, I'm not
Mhm.
doing it, because that opens me up. Then you have to be vulnerable, and then it's not being exposed. But then I was like, but if I help one person, then I've
Mhm.
done my job. So yeah, but I almost like scrapped the whole Pink Pearl Hero thing. I was like, oh, not gonna do
Mhm.
it. So
Well, I'm pretty sure there are quite a few people that are glad you didn't, even those who haven't gone through it personally, but have family, friends, other loved ones who have struggled with that. So,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm glad too. I mean, because we've done a lot of good things, and we got a lot of our board has a lot of great ideas for things that we're gonna, do in the future. So
Mhm.
and one of those things is doing workshops. So through this journey, so that was one of the things that I said when I flipped the script mentally. I was
Mhm.
like, all right, you know, maybe this is, meant for me to happen to me or through me. Something
Mhm.
big is going to happen. I said, I'm going to lock arms with women who I haven't met. And again, something big is getting ready to happen. And through that process, I've met some phenomenal women, a lot of women who pivoted in are walking in purpose of,
Mhm.
things that they really want to do. And now I'm just paying more attention to say, okay, so how do I work with her to help other women? So one of the things, so the hero part of Pink Pearl Hero comes from a study done by the National Institutes of Health based on the Superwoman syndrome. And
Mm.
historically, it affects a lot of women of color, and from generationally. So they like went all the way back. And I need to reread, because that was one of the studies I read when I was
Oh.
I call my breast cancer journey my Jonah moment. I said, the Lord's way of saying you need to sit down because you ain't listening. So I'm gonna physically sit you down because I know you better than you know you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what that was. But that was one of the research articles I read, and that's where the name hero comes from.
Okay.
Because I can't, I think everybody understands that if you're on a plane and the flight attendant says, in a lieu of turbulence and the plane goes down, the oxygen mask is going to come down. You put
Mm-hmm.
yours on first, and then you put down, put the kids on. But we don't understand that when it comes to life.
No,
And
no.
that was me. Always busy. That was and what I found, my lump was found by my nurse practitioner at
Mm-hmm.
my well woman exam on my second time. The first time I got there too late because I was so busy doing everything else, but not putting me as a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And the second time I almost missed that appointment by a couple of minutes because I was so busy, right? Taking
Mm-hmm.
care of everybody else, but not.
Mm-hmm.
So no is a sentence.
Yes. Period.
Yeah, period.
Period.
No, right. So yeah, the family had to get used to me saying, no, not today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when it comes to women, we got to put that as a priority because again, 1 in 8 women get breast cancer in their lifetime. But there's things that we can be, put in place, like our monthly, self breast exams. Women over 40 with the getting their yearly mammograms, especially if you got a history of breast cancer, those types of things. But it's got to be a priority because the earlier you can catch it, that's where the difference happens, catching it early.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, so that's where the hero syndrome, where I got the hero part from. So one of the things in 2024, or the items that we're going to do in 2024, is doing workshops on demystifying the superwoman syndrome, because that's,
Ooh,
yeah, I know, I can't wait. I was like,
man, because
I was like,
that
yeah.
is something I preach to a lot of my clients, and it's like, and I have to ask the question, like, what is the number one relationship in your life? And some of them are married, so they say with my spouse, I'm like, wrong. Your
Mm,
number one relationship, no matter if you have taking care of parents, taking care of your spouse, your children, your relationship, that number one relationship is with yourself.
mm,
You have to nurture that one and take care of yourself, because if you don't, then those things happen. You fall
right.
off, you get sick, and then how can you help anybody, or be strong or be supportive for anybody else around you?
Yeah. Totally, totally true. And I think we as women don't do that very well. Men do that. I think men do it better than women do. But I think women, I feel the shift like happening, and just from having, just like small group sessions, not really
Mm-hmm.
sessions, but just conversations and networking with other women, that the
Mm-hmm.
shift is happening where we're like, you know what? We understand, like if mama gets sick, everybody knows the whole house goes down. So why don't we put that correlation,
Right.
right? Just with, so that's why mama has to take care. She has to be her first priority. And so that's where the hero came from. Like, I can't be your hero until I'm my hero first. I got to
Mm-hmm.
take care of me. Taking care of
Right.
me takes care of everybody else
Mm-hmm.
in my
And
world.
sometimes it's okay to take the cape off and put it in the drawer and let somebody else do it
Yeah,
for a little bit.
yeah. I saw this, I think it was the bathroom for the women, and to say it never was a cape or something like that. I've also seen, it was like an Instagram post that said cape off, crown on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Take that cape stuff off, man. It just keeps us stressed, overweight.
Absolutely. And then all of those things affect your health, whether it's cancer, high blood pressure,
Yep,
diabetes, all of those things.
yep,
Absolutely. So, to an extent, a lot of it starts here. So, protecting this, like you said, protecting this
mhm,
and all of the rest, because it's all linked, your mind, body, spirit. all of those things you want to be in alignment to be healthy.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. One of the other things that, well, there are a couple things, and I don't think I've ever talked to anybody about this part. So, like when you're going through surgeries,
Mhm.
especially, because I did reconstructive surgery and it was a process. It wasn't like, the plastic surgeon came in and boom, you're good. Like
Right.
it was surgery, then there was another surgery, then there's another surgery. And mentally, especially for women, because the part of our body that makes us the most feminine are our breasts, and of course mine got reconstructed a couple different times. And
Mhm.
so every time it's like, this is the new you, and you had to get used to the new you. And then you
Oh.
had another surgery, and here's the new you. So mentally, that, I mean, and I won't ever say I was like always up and excited. And no, I mean, I
Mhm.
had kind of my, like low moments, but in those
Mhm.
moments, I had a support system, meaning like other women who or had gone through what I've gone through, that I
Mhm.
could reach out to and say, "Is this normal?" Or "What do you think about this?" And like I was excited, a couple hours ago. Now all I want to do is cry. Is that normal?
Right.
So because I knew they would understand kind of the whole. And I say all that to say that I think it's important to have a support system. And I had pockets that did different things,
Mhm.
not just, just the breast cancer part of it. But the other thing that I know, and I just pulled this back out, is close towards the end. So I had my first surgery. So my anniversary is actually in 5 days. I just realized that.
Oh,
My official 5-year anniversary is October 30th. One
okay.
of my mentors, he said, "Well, you'll be right on time for Halloween." And I had to take a step back and I'm like, you know what? That is pretty funny. But I shared that because it's all about mindset.
Mhm.
I had fun through my process. I mean, yes, I did have my lows, but I had to flip the script.
Mhm.
I even I even started journaling the funny things that happened. And I
Oh, wow.
shared some of those stories because
Mhm.
yeah, I had some pretty funny stories during the process. But um so in towards the end of 2018, I decided, look, let's write down everything that you're going to do in 2019. So even though my body was still physically in 2018, my mind was in 2019. I said, this is what we're going to fight for. The first thing on the list was for me to see my niece because she wasn't born yet.
Mhm.
And so that let me know. So again, another gauge. Once I get number one crossed off, that means I'm on the right path because that meant I was healing, that I could travel, that my upper body strength, because it gave me, kind of like, okay, check, 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 check,
Mhm.
mindset wise. And that was the first thing I checked off on the list. And I was so excited. That's my girl too, even though she's 4 now. But and I got a picture of her. The funny thing, I have a picture of her laying on my chest, and she's
Mhm.
trying to get like these don't feel like my mom's. So she
Mhm.
trying to get comfortable. She couldn't get comfortable, but when I pulled out the list, actually last week, I pretty
Mhm.
much got everything done on that list but 3 things.
Oh, okay. And what was the total there? The total number or
I think there's
approximately?
15. I think
Oh,
there's
okay.
yeah. So there were, but and then that was a reminder, like, okay, so let's knock out the rest of these 3, and then let's start another list.
Okay.
So even though, not even though, because the 5-year anniversary is like the first big milestone because it's like,
Absolutely.
okay, so now your reduction of reoccurrence
Mhm.
starts to, right? So that's like the first big milestone. So now I'm going to put another 5-year list together and then start working backwards.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that list, um, is it the list or maybe the people? Because you have a husband, you have your girls, your So, or was it a combination of the two? Those were your whys.
You know what? There was really only one person on the list, and that was my niece. I know that sounds bad, but she was the only person on the
Hmm.
list.
Right.
Everything else was like were goals. Like I
Hmm.
had the peach tree back on there again. I wanted to
Okay.
run the peach tree as a breast cancer survivor. Knocked that out too, and was mad that my time was off. Like I had a time that but again, I was working on this part, so I knew if I
Right.
had that goal there, that I'd be
Hmm.
focused on doing that. But yes, but I ran it again as a survivor, and that was on the list. Yeah, she was the only person on there. Everything else were goals, individual
Hmm.
goals that I had. And some of them took a little bit longer. Like some of them, my nurse navigator, so you'd be very proud of me. Every time she would see me, she said, "Have you like slowed down? Like, can you slow down? Like, can you take like a couple days to yourself?" And in February, I finally did. I racked up enough airline points and rental car points, and went to I have a mentor that lives close to Naples, and I
Hmm.
went to the beach and I did nothing, and it was glorious just to do. But I also was able to kind of release, so it was a very good therapeutic release. There's
Awesome.
something about me and the beach and the sand and water. I can just
Hmm.
sit there and do nothing all day long.
So now,
So
how often does that happen now?
not enough, but
Oh. Mm.
not
Hmm.
enough,
Hmm. Hmm.
but I said that needs to be part of like my 12. So I'm starting to do the 12-week planning instead of doing quarterly planning, like the 12-week
Okay.
year.
Hmm.
That's going to be my personal I guess, what do you want to call it? Prize to myself is after 12 weeks of going, that I take a couple days and just decompress so I can start the cycle.
Okay.
Well, not start the cycle, but I do love the mountains too. So it's either the beach or the mountains. Like we got glamping in Atlanta in the
Oh,
Blue Ridge
nice.
Mountains. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's that important thing as long as you're actually doing those getaways and you don't get away from that piece because yeah, in those moments, those necessary moments or where your body or God says, "Oh, let me sit you down." You focus on
Right.
it and then people forget and they get back into those old habits.
Mm, that's a
So
message.
being mindful that you're not doing that. So,
Yeah. Yes, I will put that as part of my 12-week plan is
okay.
is to do that.
So hitting back with the question as far as your why, do you because you've talked about this and it's been your girls. So how much of your why played into oh I know I already know I'm beating this. I got things to do. I have to see my girls through this. How much did that play into your fight?
It definitely, well, I mean, definitely a lot. There were, as decisions were being made, um, like I said, in my mind, I'm like, we only gonna do this one time. So that's why we're
Mhm.
gonna go guns a blazing. I was aggressive on a lot of things. There were a couple unexpected surgeries that happened that were not part of the plan.
Mhm.
And all I could, all I could see was, all right, I want to be there for not rushing it, but if they get married, have kids, like I want to be there for those things.
Mhm.
So, I want to fight to make sure that those things, that I'm there for that. And just the little moments, like um I think I did a post recently because it just dawned on me, just like moments that I wouldn't even imagine, that I did not even imagine that are happening like right now. I'm like,
Mhm.
man, I'm glad I fought because I didn't even think about this happening,
Mhm.
So I, of course I get a little emotional about that when I think about it too. But that's why I said, for women who are going through their fight right now, that there's going to be memories that you're not even thinking of right now that you're fighting for. And it's worth it to do it. Um, but one of the things that, talking about the girls, because I had somebody ask me last week, like, when did you tell the girls about your
Mhm.
diagnosis? And I was very intentional that I was not telling them until I can tell them everything, until I can say, mommy has been diagnosed with breast cancer. Here's where it is. Here's what surgery I'm going to have. And this is when the surgery is going to be.
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure that all of that, so they wouldn't have any additional questions, and we can kind of knock all that out in kind of one sitting. But then also, I wanted them to once I told them, to also take a step back to say, man, she was going through this the whole time, and she was still happy. She was still doing what she was, so I didn't want them to see me sad, depressed. I wanted them to see me normal. So they would say, okay, so she's going to be okay, because mindset wise, she's been, functioning.
Mhm.
But then on the other part, once they did find out, and once I was going through the surgeries, I didn't shy from if they saw me cry, because I wanted to break the cycle of that superwoman syndrome,
Right.
right? That you got to be just tough, and so when life happens and adversity happens, it's okay to have emotions.
Absolutely.
Being emotional and having emotions is two different things. So I didn't want them to I wanted to demystify the whole boss chick. That just drives me nuts. I don't even say that anymore, you know, because I don't want them to think that I had to be a robot to go through this thing. I let
Absolutely.
them see all the emotion.
And that's great. Going back to clients, so not even in that fighting for that, but a lot of them had to stifle their emotions. So those are struggles that they have now. Um, but yeah, to be that model, that role model for your girls, and saying like, "Yep, I'm fighting, but it's not always the peaks. There are some valleys, and I'm going to be in them for a moment, but I'm not going to stay in them. But I want you to see that journey." So
Yeah,
that was awesome.
yeah. And there's still some parts of I said one day I'll talk about it, but there were some very emotional moments
Mhm.
during the journey that I really haven't talked to anybody about. And I think there's a time and a place. It's just not the
Mhm.
time and the place to talk about it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about just with you. You all talk
Yeah.
separately. But I think there's a time and a place to have that conversation.
Mhm.
Um, but with them, I was pretty open for the most part about everything, and decisions that had to be made. I mean, because there were some tough decisions that were made, but I was like, well, live or risk. So which
Mhm.
which one are we
Yeah.
gonna do? But yeah, journaling helped. I read a couple books. I read a book by Priscilla Schreier. Actually, my mentor recommended it to me.
Mhm.
Called Jonah. It's something else. It's Jonah something. I'm gonna reread it now because
Mhm.
I read it in 2018. I read another book, and it actually took me almost 3 years to read, called Captivating by Stassi Eldridge. It's
Mhm.
more so geared to women. It's biblically based. Now,
Okay.
this year, though, the two books that I read is the Purpose and Power of Women by Miles Monroe.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with him. Like I've like seen some of his recordings and different things like that.
That's a game changer. That one, top 5 books. If anybody asks me what books am I reading, that's in the top 5.
Oh, I need to put that down as like a
Put that on
reference
your
point
Amazon.
for. Okay.
And I think the other one, and this is so when I did that 75 hard, I read this is one of the books I read. This is the other one by him. I'm rereading it with actually a group of women now. It's The
Mm-hmm.
Principles of Power and Vision, Keys to Achieving Personal and Corporate Destiny. So that's another game changer too. So just making sure that I'm always reading something
Mm-hmm.
on mindset. Um, one of the things that I noticed when I did 75 hard, so 75 hard, you know, 2 workouts, you got to read
Mm-hmm.
some self-development. So I didn't notice the biggest change until I stopped doing it. So on day like 78, 79, I kind of
Mm-hmm.
tapered off and I was like, well, I did it. So
Mm-hmm.
mindset wise, oh, I noticed a big change. Moody,
Wow. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I was moody, moody, irritable, anxious, time
Mm.
management was off.
Mm-hmm.
So that let me know that that structure is what I
Mm-hmm.
need to be productive and to be balanced. For me, it is something about being outside, kind of being one with nature as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a treadmill runner at all. I'm an outdoor nosy. Oh, they ain't cut their grass. Oh, they need to do that. I'm that type of. I like to be in the element. I'm not a treadmill runner at all. So I don't have any gym memberships because I'm like, if I can't do it outside,
Mm-hmm.
but and then just doing yoga. I've added frequencies too, like the megahertz frequencies.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So and then power naps. I read the book called The Art of Napping. Game
What?
changer.
They tell you how to nap?
Yes, there is a science behind it. So here's the thing. So think about it. Because you know over in Europe they take naps during the middle of the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um it has all to do with REM sleep. So I was trying to figure out like if I took a nap and I took like a 60-minute nap,
Mm-hmm.
I was always groggy, irritable, all that when I would wake up. That's
Mm-hmm.
because I went into a REM cycle and then I cut it short.
Oh,
So
okay.
the key is to find the sweet spot before you go into REM sleep. So for me, it's between 26 to 30 minutes, but it really is 26 minutes exactly. And there's science behind it. They do it in NASA all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When they're, you know, like in space, they
Mm-hmm.
rotate and they take these power naps so they can, I mean, we need them to be alert if they're in space
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely.
So they can go into
Absolutely.
another galaxy, but there's science behind it. But so now I'll, you know, take a quick 26-minute nap in the middle of the day, put on my earbuds, turn on the frequency,
Mm-hmm.
go.
Wait,
Brand new one.
26 minutes.
26 minutes.
That
There's
is
even an
crazy.
app. So like tonight, so I'll probably I'm well not probably. I gotta work, catch up, get my notes right in that one dope planner. That
Mm,
part.
mm, mhm, mhm,
Right. So I'll write all my notes and stuff. There's an app like you can say, well, I need to wake up at 6 o'clock.
mhm.
And the recommendation is you should have at least 4 sleep cycles in order to function, minimum. That's really not good, but at least four
Hmm.
sleep cycles of REM. So if you got to wake up at 6, it'll tell you what time you need to go to bed to have 4 sleep cycles, 5, 6.
Oh,
Is genius.
wow.
I was like, that's a game changer.
Huh. I
Yeah,
need to look into more of these things. Well, I know I don't get enough sleep, but
right.
yeah, that's my thing I need to work on. It's a
That
work in
part.
progress. I'm working, making it happen. So,
You would like the frequency. I even have I have a girlfriend here who has a spa. It's called a Vemi bed, but it's a bed that has light therapy and
mhm.
frequency and um like some type of vibration too. So it's
Okay.
vibrating best sleep.
Oh, I'm sure that just sounds amazing. Yeah. I do have some of the frequencies that I found on YouTube, so I've saved those. But yeah,
I'll send you my Nassau one, that 26 minute. I'm telling you, game.
26. I don't know. Yeah, I'll try it and see.
It's just for the nap though, not for the.
Right. Okay.
But I think it's it's an ongoing. The mindset part is ongoing, through this journey, and that's why I'm I had to change my verbiage to say I'm growing through. I didn't go
Hmm.
through breast cancer. I grew through that because yeah, the woman I was in 2018 is I'm totally different than her. Totally different. So I just embraced that this was just part of my journey, and it was a divine appointment that I had to go through this, grow through this to get to the next level.
That's awesome. Well, I won't keep you hostage.
Oh,
So I
it's all
want to
good.
thank you again for doing this, and leave this open for you, this last piece. So if there's anything in particular or particular messages that you have or recommendations for anyone either going through this, know someone, or just overall with mental health, have at it.
Yeah, I would just say so for the woman that's watching this who or man, because men get breast cancer too, um,
Absolutely.
who is growing or going through this, flip the script and grow through it. Right. I mean, you're going to have ups and downs, right? And I would always still seek, guidance from a medical professional if you have more downs than ups. Uh,
Mhm.
if you can find a support group, definitely find a support group. I, sought out people. So I wasn't really in a support group, but I sought out people
Mhm.
in my circle or folks, that other people may have known. And the biggest thing, and this is what I tell when I talk to women who've just been newly diagnosed. One of the things I always tell them is, okay, so let's write down these future goals. What stuff do we need to get done? Because I want to get their mind out of where they currently are, because their
Mhm.
paradigm is cancer. So we got to get out of the paradigm of cancer and be
Mhm.
into the paradigm of next year, which means you're progressing and you're fighting and you're getting healthier. So, let's start writing out those things that you want to do in life. It's not a death sentence, only if you allow it to be. And even if it is more aggressive, still, fight to enjoy life. One of the things that I've seen more so just sitting with women is a lot of women go through this alone. And it's not
Mhm.
the women we think, because we think it's the single woman with no kids or no spouse. No, it's a lot of women go through it alone that are the married with kids and a big family.
Mhm.
So for that woman, and everyone goes through their journey differently, because a lot of people say, well, Tammy, I'm not out there exposing myself, and that's fine, because
Right.
that's your journey, and I'm okay with that, and you should be okay with that too. But still have somebody to talk to that you can, have those, conversations with. If it's not a friend or another breast cancer thriver or somebody in your medical community. But, and for the woman who is like, I'm not a breast cancer survivor or a breast cancer, thriver, just make sure you're doing those monthly breast self exams, because early detection is key. And then, remind another girlfriend to do hers at the same time. Have a little mammogram buddy. Like, girl, did you get your mammogram done? Right.
I
So
got
just,
mine done this summer. Yes.
yeah, did you get it done this year? So yeah, I mean, again, because early detection is key. And I think I had one girlfriend tell me, she said, if you can get breast cancer, anybody can, because everybody saw me as healthy, out there doing, and
Mhm.
then boom, just a little hiccup, but it was all part of the plan.
Yep. It doesn't have, unfortunately, well, no, I don't even know what to say, but Cancer doesn't have an agenda to where it's like, I'm going to get this person, this person. No, it can be anybody. And like you said, that 1 in 8, and I didn't realize it was like that. So if you put 10, 20 people in a room, how many are going to walk out or be
Right.
diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer?
Yep. Yep. I talked to she owns a spa here, and I can't think of the name of the spa, but she practices more she's from the Middle East, so she practices Middle Eastern medicine.
Mhm.
And it wasn't the first time somebody's told me this. This is actually the second time somebody's told me this. Like, where was your breast cancer located? They said their Middle Eastern medicine, there's different reasons like where you get cancer.
Hmm.
And I need to look it up again, but it was like, so mine was left breast, and the reasons like
Mhm.
read me like a book. I was like, oh, that is
Wow.
me, that is me, that is me. And it was more internal things. It wasn't external things, it was internal things, like how I process, don't let things go. Um,
Mm.
yeah, so that, and I think that's where when I saw that, I said, yeah, we really need to tackle this superwoman syndrome.
Mhm.
Right. And then not so full disclosure, not saying that's the reason why, because I don't want somebody thinking that's why you got cancer, girl, because
Right, right.
but let's take a step back and let's, kind of look at these things. Um, but then also, just having a healthier lifestyle overall. Like I don't drink sodas.
Mhm.
Like I had a diet Dr. Pepper, and I love diet Dr. Pepper. After that 75 hard, I had one and my
Mhm.
whole face just broke out. Like, what are you doing? I'm
Oh.
like, oh, Lord, let me get back to the I'm going back to the water, the chlorophyll water. We gonna keep it simple. So, but yeah. But yeah, it's I wouldn't take the journey back. I mean, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I wouldn't take it back for
Mhm.
anything because it was part of the process. Part of the process. So yep. And we got a lot of things to do. Still a lot of things to
Absolutely.
do. But I'm gonna delegate some of those things too.
Good. I am so glad to hear that.
Thank you. I try.
Well, thank you once again, and thank you all for tuning in. I'm Gayla, again, the AKA, the awkward introverted therapist. Tavern Take 5, out.